Horner, the principal at Empire. I've recently been doing a series of talks on leasing your property in any market. Especially in this tough Perth rental market, I do believe the following steps will help any owner, no matter what the market is or where their property is in Australia, ensure their property has the best chance of getting leased. This short video presentation is to assist owners in getting maximum exposure so they can lease their property. I'll keep it as brief as possible, and if you have any questions or want more information, please feel free to speak to me or to your property manager. The Perth rental market has been tough over the past year and a half, which has meant that as owners we need to be more astute in leasing our property. If we can reduce the average vacancy trend of 56 days or 8 weeks just by a couple of weeks, we can save our owners lost revenue of thousands. So the next question is, how do we do that? Tenants these days have expectations that a property is secure, well presented and maintained, so that is key. There is no point in implementing advertising and marketing techniques if your property doesn't present well. We can bring them to your property, but they won't apply to lease your property if it's not well presented or maintained. We all go, including me, a little crazy when our tenant is going to vacate or our property is vacant. As investors, cash flow is a key component in investing, and for our office, minimising your vacancy is key. I don't want owners spending thousands to market their property, but a few $100s can go a long way in securing your next tenant and those prospective tenants over the next 5 to 10 years. Remember, if we can lease your property just a week or two before the 8-week average, you're saving money. 90% of people find their next home online and they have a short attention span. Currently, when I look online at the moment, there are 549 properties available in Scarborough, 533 in Cannington, 802 in Nollamara, and 1,934 in Perth. So, that is the results of all your suburbs and their adjacent. So how do you make them choose your property? I always like to look at it as a process from that of a tenant. So I'm looking online. Remember, I've got the short attention span, one of a goldfish. I want to find a property in Victoria Park, so I put it into my search results and I get 1,708 results. So what can they see? They're scrolling down and they can see bedrooms, bathrooms, car bays, price, and that main photo. So you can't change the bed, bath and cars, but you can decide the photo and price. You've only got 8 seconds to grab their attention, and there are 1,732 properties, and a poor photo or a high price will not grab them. So how are you going to make sure that they click on yours? Professional photos are key. If there are 1,732 properties on the internet, you want them to shortlist or save yours. When they shortlist your property and probably 8 to 10 others, what is going to grab them when they click on your ad? Poor photos, lack of information will instantly mean you're taken straight off the save list. When I'm at home opens, I ask tenants, how many properties are they looking at? Do they like your property? I ask them for feedback, and 5 to 20 years ago, people looked at numerous properties. We didn't have advanced details on the internet, so we drove around and looked at multiple properties. How many properties do tenants want to look at today? At a recent home open, I asked a young gentleman and he said to me, just one, because you made me. Our office policy does ensure that tenants have to look at a property before we lease it. However, this young gentleman wanted to take it by what he saw off the internet. He'd seen photos, videos, a floor plan, and was willing to make his decision from his couch. If a person is only going to look at 1 to 3 properties, how do you make sure when there is more than 300 or 400 properties, or even just 50 in your suburb, that it's yours? So what will setting your property apart cost? A floor plan like this starts from $35, and if you provide us with your building plans, we can organise a plan for you that you can use in all future marketing. It's a very low expense that you will use in all future advertising unless you plan on moving walls and remodelling. Professional photos are $165, and not only are they the first thing people see, but also on their saved list, they want to see multiple quality photos or you're off the list. If you do a random search in any suburb, you'll see that only a small percentage of properties are making this effort, and many images are quite poor or bad. Good photos will grab people's attention and help you lease your home. Bad pictures will absolutely give you trouble because you won't have any calls on it and nobody will come and see it. You'll also use these professional photos for the next 3 to 5 years. The other option is a 60-second video. It's $330 and has 400% more interest than those without. Our Empire YouTube page has many of these videos, and these properties you are seeing at the moment were leased prior to being available. In other words, the floor plan, pro photography and video allowed prospective tenants to secure this property before it was vacant or available. Go through our leasing detail sheet for pricing on floor plans, professional photography and video, but there are also some other options you need to consider. When I searched in Victoria Park, there were multiple pages of properties. When you list your property on realestate.com, it can very quickly fall to later pages. And how many of us scroll down to the older ads or later pages? If you choose to list your property as soon as the tenant gives notice to vacate, by the time they vacate, your ad can be on page 3, 5, 7 or beyond. A feature property brings your property to a prominent location, usually on the first page for at least 30 days. If you have to put on new photos, you organise a price reduction, you need to look at making it a feature property, otherwise no one will see the changes that you have implemented. On our leasing detail sheet, it has all the above options, and I highly recommend that you at least do floor plans and professional photos, which have a cost of $200. These are essential to ensure you're capturing prospective tenants and ensuring that your property is one of the properties that they choose to view. Once you've ensured that your property is well maintained, looking good, you're marketing your property well with quality photos and floor plans and video, the next step is to continually look and be willing to adjust your price. I hope that this has been informative, and should you wish for more details, please contact me anytime or speak to your property manager. It's now time to spend a few $100s to set your property apart and get it leased. Thanks for your time.